Hello again, this is Preheat. Welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. Today we're going to be talking about Devastation Evoker. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't you just say the Augmentation Evoker is better than Devastation Evoker in every way? And that's true for Mythic Plus. However, in Raid, Devastation Evoker still has a bit of an edge, or at least equal footing with Augmentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch my Mythic Sarkareth kill, one of my recent ones, and I'm going to talk through the VOD and explain my entire thought process. So if you're looking to play Devastation on this encounter, you'll know exactly what to do, you'll know the timings, you'll know where the dangerous areas are, and I will also help you find ways to improve your DPS. Right now, only 20% of the parses on this boss are Devastation, which means 80% are playing Augmentation Evoker, which happens to be the same amount of people who are frequently watching my videos and not subscribing to the channel. So why don't you go ahead and take a second and just scroll down and click that subscribe button, and let's get started. Just for starters, the build will be in the description below. I'm just playing like Event Horizon, nothing too fancy about that, but you'll see me here. I'm going to precast a Living Flame. Usually I do that into Verdant Embrace or Emerald Blossom while I use Lust, hopefully to get Ancient Flame. It didn't happen this time. And then I'm going to do the standard opener, which is just Eternity Surge into Fire Breath. But then since I need to take a gateway here, I'm actually going to start a Disintegrate, so at least I can get a couple takes of this Disintegrate off before I need to take the gateway, since the timing is very precise. And as soon as it is time for me to take the gateway, which is indicated by this bar up here, right now I have to take the gate. So this is where I'm going to use my Trinket, my Potion, and Shattering Star. And then the rest of the rotation continues as normal. And you'll notice that I am playing with my Disintegrates fully channeling all the way through. And the reason for that is because I have PI and Bloodlust. So if you have a lot of haste, this is the way to go. As soon as I have that Eternity Surge come back up, I use it and then I tip the scales on the Fire Breath. And then we just continue with the normal rotation, throwing in those Shattering Stars whenever we have them. And I do want to point out for a second here, so I did just pop Renewing Blaze. It is really, really good to pop Renewing Blaze, at least on the pole or at this point here in the fight. The reason why I do it here is just because I've noticed that I survive a lot better whenever I do it here. But yeah, I'm going to use Renewing Blaze here for a couple reasons. Number one, it's going to help me heal myself. Number two, it's going to give me damage in my Dragon Rage. And the third extension is key here. So you'll notice that my Eternity Surge is about to come off cooldown. I go ahead and press that here. And then this is where I need to be stacked in range because we're dropping our bombs. So you're going to notice bombs going down, and I just did a fresh hover here so I can move while I'm placing the bombs. So we place the first bomb here, and you can actually stay relatively close to where the first one drops. You can kind of stack them almost like freehold. So you'll notice that I'm going a little slow. I only really go fast with these bombs whenever I notice other range are doing it, because then it's kind of deadly to be behind, right? You don't want to be lagging behind other range whenever they're dropping these things. So on this first set, it's relatively easy because we don't have any other fire or stuff to worry about. So I'm going to go for this Fire Breath here so I can get that other extension. And you notice I stand in it just for a moment. That's fine. There is a grace period before the arms, right? So I'm not going to take damage from that. And then I am still with the range group, right? And the boss is about to do a frontal. The melee is going to run to the front here so that basically it's aimed towards the range. And this is going to be where we do our first phase 1 mechanic, which is clearing the oppressing roar. You'll notice here it says vulnerable too. So you have to actually get rid of both of these stacks, and you have to do it with different abilities. So one is going to be Disintegrate, the other is going to be the Fire Breath. So kind of similar to Heroic, right? You want to clear it with the breath, but just make sure that you don't take multiple stacks here if you can help it. You'll notice that basically as I take this breath, I'm going to be moving out of the breath. That way I don't, have it stack up on me. And we are going to mass dispel these, and I do get 2 stacks there, but it gets dispelled just right away, so it's fine. So in cases where you get multiple stacks there and you don't get dispelled because mass dispel has a target cap, make sure that you call for a single dispel. And then immediately following this, we're getting the Disintegrate here. This is the second Disintegrate of the fight. So you want to make sure that you're not in this line. You also don't want to move into your range position early because you're going to have these little swirlies. You can see them here. These are going to be spawning everywhere. You don't want to spawn these in the spot where you actually want to go. You want to mosey on over, but don't go too quickly. So you'll notice here, I throw out this Eternity Surge and Shattering Star, and I'm going to make my way over like so. And I still have 2 seconds to bait the bombs here. Most people are already stacked up. You don't actually want to be stacked up this early. You want to kind of coalesce at the last second, right? So you don't get the swirlies on you, but it looks like we're fine. And then right here, we're going to have the bombs drop again. And notice how low everyone in the raid is. If you take incidental damage during this part, it's very likely that you'll die. So if it looks like that's about to happen, you need to use a health pot. The damage output the boss is doing is so high that if you're taking a lot of extra damage, you're just going to be dead as Devastation. So yeah, same as before, you know, we drop our bombs here as we move. I notice I have my fire breath available, so I go for that really quick. And then we have a bomb placed in front, so I'm going to just, you know, move a little bit to the side. But these bombs are, the first two are actually placed fairly well. But yeah, so there's a little break here on this disintegrate. I don't want to clear, but we are going to be dropping more bombs soon. So as you can see, the red swirlies are spawning under our feet. This bomb set's actually really annoying because it spawns right as the swirlies are coming out. So you gotta be really careful not to stand in one of these and die. It's very easy if you're not paying attention. So, you know, swirly drops here. Obviously, be mindful of the smaller circles they're dropping underneath and try and stack with the group. If you have to go ahead, that's totally fine. Just make sure you kind of line yourself up with the group. You just don't want to go ahead of the group, right? Going ahead is banned, but going in front is okay if you need to. But as you can see, we drop all these. They're, you know, it's not too bad. I will say there's a little variance in this too, because these swirlies can spawn like making a wall in front of you. Just make sure you don't get killed by them. You can also be slowed here. So if you take a disintegrate, what's going to happen is you're going to get a little buff that makes your character slower. And obviously disintegrate's going to deal damage to you. That will keep you slowed for the entire phase 1. So be mindful of that. If you're slowed, you might have to use like a jump glide to make sure that you can stick with the rest of the group, especially if you're using the boots that slow you down. But yeah, so right here, this is going to be the second time in the fight where I'm going to use my personals, right? So the first time was with the Renewing Blaze. I use Obsidian Scales for the big pop whenever we have a bunch of people clear. Now we're doing that again, but this one is with Disintegrate. So the boss is going to do a mass disintegrate here, and one person needs to run out to the range group if they aren't already selected in range. And you need to be between this little ghost evoker. You need to be between this evoker and the person who's marked. If you're behind them, it doesn't work. You need to be in front of them. So I'm going to start my cast here, and at the very last second, I'm going to move in. And then right here, very important, I'm going to use my Obsidian Scales. It's already up, and I'm going to use my Renewing Blaze. So the reason why I want a Renewing Blaze on this is, once again, I want to heal myself, but also I want the damage. You actually get a lot of damage from a Renewing Blaze, especially when it's topping you every tick. So I'm going to throw out this Shattering Star. I'm going to use this Eternity Surge here, and I'm going to be really careful not to stand in one of these circles if I can help it. Sometimes you take damage. If you're in the Spirit Link, usually you're fairly safe. But notice how my Scarlet Adaptation is already maxed out, and it's literally ticked once. Because I'm in a Spirit Link Totem, this is a nice combination because it's going to constantly take away your health, and then your Renewing Blaze will fill your health. So it's like a perfect... I guess a synergistic aspect to Renewing Blaze is like being in something that's redistributing your health, right? Because then you get Scarlet Adaptation value and you're helping heal the raid. So I'm going to try and use my Burnout procs like as soon as I get them, just so I can clear that Scarlet Adaptation. And you'll notice every single Living Flame I'm doing, look at this damage, 284k on the crit there. So yeah, I mean, this is just the power of Scarlet Adaptation and using Renewing Blaze as like a DPS cooldown. It pairs very well in this. Yeah, so the boss is going to finish its Glimmering Surge, and here we're going to take the Gateway. And it's very important that you stack these circles up in this first one. So our strategy in our guild is we stack them all right here, and then we're going to stack them in front afterwards, or in theory, that's what the plan is, although it very often goes awry. But yeah, so as you reach 10 here, this is where you go down. As soon as 10 happens, boom, you see these circles. So I'm going to immediately move to the back here. I know everyone kind of has their own strategy. My strategy is I like to go to the back to pick up my first one right here, just because I've had it happen where people cut me off, and then, you know, it's really hard to deal with it being back here if you get cut off. And then I'm going to move to the front, just like I was saying. So everyone should be dropping their circles right here, and there they go. So it looks like no one put their circles out of place, which is great. And then I'm going to grab this one on my left. And then this is just a mini game, right? Just pick up the little swirlies as quickly as you can. Looks like I missed one there. That's fine though. Just gobble those things up and make sure that you get into the last one before it ends right here. So I'm at 10 stacks. I just got my last one. I'm coming up and the boss is right here. I'm already in position with the range. We want to bait this breath. So this breath is going to go on the range camp as long as they're within 20 yards. If you're too close, right? If you're less than 20 yards, then the boss is going to do it at some random person, which is really bad. You want to make sure that the boss is at least 20 yards, but you don't want to be too far. Basically, you want this exact distance right here. So the breath is coming out. And by the way, whenever a breath is coming out, you can actually pre-position and start a fire breath right here. So you notice I'm fire breathing before my Dragon Rage just because I can precast it as the ads are spawning. You'll notice here the ads spawn right as my breath finishes. Boom, right here. breath finishes, I hit, and then I use my trinkets, everything, Dragon Rage, draw up my Eternity Surge, and I just blast those ads. I want to just vaporize those things before they even have a chance to do anything. Obviously, you can also just let them live longer. That's fine too, but you know, it depends on how deep in the farm you are and how important it is to kill other things. You'll notice that everything just got vaporized there. I didn't really lose much damage during that like 2 pyres on the ads, so overall this was very worth it. And oh, I should rewind just a little bit. So this is important. So as you're finishing the ads, there's gonna be bombs that drop. So you see bomb 1 drops here. I'm gonna move a little bit to the right. Bomb 2 drops. Okay, so they're close to each other. Okay, and then you do a big move, right? And right here, this is like the range on the bomb, so I'm not gonna be hit. See that? And now the boss is gonna do the knock. So the bombs are going downstairs. We have the knock coming out here. Infinite Duress, there it is. The knock's gonna come back behind us. Okay, so whenever you're in the air as Evoker, if you press your hover button, you're gonna fly forward. It won't ever be stationary if your legs aren't on the, or if your feet aren't on the floor. So you'll notice I actually use this to my advantage. So I'm gonna get this, there it is. I get knocked and then I use my hover to dash in this direction. See that? And I immediately use my fire breath there and then continue with my DPS rotation. You can also use your spacebar to instantly interrupt your momentum. What I do just kind of depends on the situation. All right, and that about does it for the first half of the boss. So that's part 1. If you want to know when part 2 is coming out, be sure to click that subscribe button, ring the notification bell. And if you like this video, be sure to also give it a thumbs up. That helps. And if there's anything that you would like to include as far as tips or anything like that, be sure to leave those in the comments. But thank you all for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.